A beautifully quirky space strategy game. Part galactic strategy, part real-time combat, part colony building, part adventure story. Ambitious and not entirely successful. Those are not my words. That was written by Tim Haugego, author of the definitive FAQ for Imperium Galactica, which you can find a link to in the description below. I think it's an apt description of the game and one that resonates with my experience. I bounced off Imperium Galactica a couple times, but once I got past that, I was fascinated by the frankly bizarre mix of genres that are here. Word to the wise, this episode is going to be only backstory and intro. Gameplay is going to be coming up starting in the next episode, just due to the length of the cinematics. And while I will focus in some on the narrative elements as usual, from a gameplay standpoint, I'm going to do something different here. Imperium Galactica does not play fair, so I'm going to not play fair right back. We're going to take on the hardest difficulty the game has to offer, and I'm going to rip it apart and abuse it in every way I know how. But before we get to that, let's take a look at what the game has to say for itself.
Earth, third millennium, the age of technological and social revolution. After thousands of years of interscene warfare, humanity found peace. Vast metropolises rose from the earth as mankind flourished, driving out nature with buildings of monofill and nanite weave. The metropolises merged and became one. The earth was a vast hive of humanity. It was a golden age of progress for mankind, but it was marred by the inevitable destruction caused by overpopulation. Millions of scientists worked desperately to find a solution. Scientists determined that an Earth-like planet orbited Proxima Centauri, unreachably far away. This new home and countless others awaited the touch of humanity. Only distance kept them apart. With a flash of insight, Dr. Emily Ngombe found the key to breaching the constraining 3 dimensions of our world. A 4th dimension in which movement can take place outside of the flow of time. The answer was colonization, humanity's manifest destiny. The other planets of the solar system were inhospitable for large-scale human habitation, but in the depths of space lay other planets, fertile and waiting. When the UNSN Trailblazer activated its jump drives and entered hyperspace, the walls that held humanity imprisoned were cast down. countless habitable worlds were discovered. This led to encounters with other alien civilizations, new friends and enemies. Humanity forged a great empire. A new capital was established, christened Centronome, to symbolize the point which tied all humanity together. The great cities which covered the earth were torn down. Science and vast wealth allowed nature to be painstakingly restored. Earth became a paradise planet, an endpoint of pilgrimages to the home world, and a center of research into the farthest bounds of technology. Examining the strengths and weaknesses of humanity in light of the challenges the galaxy presents, Earth scientists turned out countless technological advances, from nanite biorepair systems that saved countless lives on harsh and untamed worlds, to the first true androids, mechanical beings that looked and acted just like humans. Meant to be our companions, aides, and protectors, the androids were first deployed on Centronome. A freak accident, a miswritten line of code that somehow slipped by dozens of AI code checkers caused havoc. An android pilot went berserk and crashed his ship into the space station housing the 5th Congress of the Imperial Senate.
Star Vessel CX-526, you're on a crash course at Starlight Base. Commence collision avoidance burn immediately. CX-526, respond.
This and other android-related deaths led to the immediate outlawing of android research and production. In 3226, the galaxy-spanning empire of humanity began to show signs of strain. Unable to cope with the social stresses caused by such rapid expansion, its leaders were unable to hold the empire together. The long peace fell apart as warring factions began to divide up and fight over vast regions of space. Sensing weaknesses, expansionist alien governments begin probing humanity's borders. In desperation, the Admiralty of the old empire decides to use its secret weapon.
Well, that's quite the tease there at the end. Secret weapon. Ooh. The influence of the 90s is, of course, all over this, not just in the drawn-out length of the cinematics, but also you've got the shoulder pads, you've got the uniforms obviously inspired heavily by Star Trek Next Generation. And in the broader picture, there's a clear emphasis on android technology, and humanity apparently was doing great for a while, but got too big for our britches. Enemies within and enemies without. We do have a very specific role to play in this galaxy. As compared to normal, the only other choice, hard difficulty is pretty much what you'd expect. Shields are less effective, enemies are smarter and more aggressive, you have less money, things of that nature.
You called, Colonel?
Yes, Lieutenant. Good to see you.
At your command, sir.
The commander of a sector has just retired, and I'm assigning you to go there and to secure the area. The planet Achilles has been in a state of war for some time now, and more than half the colony has been destroyed. Your mission objectives are to rebuild the colony and to maintain peace. Although I will remain your superior, you will also be answering to the governors of the 3 planets in the sector. Any questions?
One, sir. When am I scheduled to leave?
You have 4 hours to pack your belongings. The transfer ship will be waiting in landing zone G5. Good luck.
Thank you, sir.
One technical issue I do want to cover regarding the sound cutting out at the end of that last segment. Imperium Galactica was released in '97 during the Pentium era. Because of that and the way it was programmed, the cinematic sequences do not play nice on modern computers. The sound will gradually fall further and further and further behind. So to sync it up, I have to speed up the sound in editing, which leaves that gap. And I'm just basically doing the best I can to present them as close to the original, but that dropout is unfortunately going to be a thing. So, it is 3427. The intro told us that the Galactic Civil War began in 3226, just over 200 years ago. So all of those things are a memory to us, not even. They're something we read in history. Several generations have passed, etc. We are on the bridge of our command ship, such as it is. Let's take a look a little bit more at that.
Equipment.
On the equipment screen. So we have the Raptor class Fighter 1. We have 3 of those. Very basic entry fighter. We don't have any of the more advanced ones, as you can see. And then we have the Excalibur, a Guardian class destroyer. And again, this is an entry-level baseline. It's functional, but that's about it. Old design of destroyer. We have these different module slots where we can upgrade it later on. Head back to the bridge. Then we've got messages here, nothing there at the moment. We have our star map. This is going to show us our area of responsibility, if you will. We have 3 different planets: Sen, Sterling, Naxos, and Achilles. We have our fleet, which we saw. These are our radar range. We can see trader ships moving about.
Bridge.
And we'll go down to the surface now from the bridge again.
Colony.
And that voice announcing what screen you're on, I will get rid of that starting in the next episode. It's just there to show that it's normally on, but we're going to turn that off because it gets really annoying. Okay, so this is Achilles. This is the planet that we were told about in the briefing by the Colonel, our superior. And that it was under war for several years, that over half the colony has been destroyed, and actually nothing is operational, which is why everything here is red. They are all on fire, burning. Now, they're not actually being further damaged. They're simply not operational. So if we go, we can just jump over to another planet.
Colony.
And see, all these here are green. They don't have as many buildings, but they're all functioning. And the colony info here, by the way, is going to be super important. That's all of our economic information relating to each world. But if we head back to the bridge, nothing here in our messages at the moment. And the other thing we have to look at is we're going to explore the ship to the extent we can do that. So we're going to head over here to, it says we're going to our room.
Stateroom.
And that panning of the camera, you can't control it. It only happens when you're moving around in the ship. There we go. This is our room. And we can just head back to the bridge, the only other place we can go. We can also interact with the computer here.
Stateroom.
Now, record message we can't use yet. The main thing I want to see here is aliens because it gives us a little more backstory. First, the AFT, the Alliance of Free Traders. They're humans. Once part of the old empire, the traders left to create a new empire for themselves. They are a peaceful trader race. So we like the Alliance of Free Traders. Okay. What about FNS, the Free Nation Society? Once part of the old empire, they declared themselves independent a long time ago. The Free Nation Society has developed rapidly, occupying territories with ease. The society is well known for their arrogant attitude and contempt for the empire. So these are a faction who is apparently very competent and ambitious, but we don't like them. And you can already see here that perhaps these descriptions were written in a biased fashion, maybe. Finally, the Garthogs. These are not human. The Garthogs are a contemptible and untrustworthy race who implant their young with biomechanical devices. Might as well just call them the Borg while you're at it. They have a special interest in mechanics and are renowned for stealing the technology of other races. It is rumored that they destroyed an entire race, known as the Nubs, to obtain their secrets. The Garthog Empire is close to the human empire, and there has been conflict for 10 years. The Garthogs possess a special ground weapon, the radar jammer vehicle, which is actually not going to be that big of a problem for us. But, again, this is clearly being written from the side of the human empire, but we also have a conflict with another race, and there are many others that we will meet, but this is where we are for the moment. Now, we can also look at the ship map, where we have the bridge and the captain's room where we are. The green areas are the ones that you can go to, and the blue you can't. So on this ship, we can't go to living quarters, but we can just go back and forth between the bridge and the captain's room. We've got help, if we want to look at all this stuff. We can directly go other places. This goes to colony info, star map, bridge, or we can just exit the terminal. And we'll do that just so we can see the path back to where we started. Gives you a little bit of a different view, walking the corridor in the other direction. You can see crew members there on the right. And then we're back in our chair, ready to go. So young Lieutenant Dante is officially in position for his first command. He's got some thorny decisions to make regarding the crisis on Achilles, and that's only the beginning. When we return, all of that will properly get underway. Until then, thanks for watching. I'm excited about this series, and I hope all of you will enjoy it as well.